Welcome everyone. We have a motion problem here and it reads a car P traveling at 45 kilometers per hour passes through a point at 9:40 a.m. while another car Q traveling at 81 kilometers per hour passes through the same point 48 minutes later. Question 1. How long will car P travel before car Q overtakes it? Question 2. What would be the time when car Q overtakes car P? To represent this diagrammatically in order to facilitate our understanding, let's try to draw the two cars P and Q. So let's say this is the point that the question is talking about, where both car P and car Q pass through at different times. And I will call it point, let's say, X. Now we have car P that is moving at 45 kilometers per hour, okay, and it passes through this point that we call point X at 9:40 a.m. Then we have another car, which is car Q, traveling at 81 kilometers per hour, passes through this same point but 48 minutes later. So what is the time at which car Q passes through X? If you add 48 minutes to 9:40, you will have 10:28, right? So which means car Q passes through this point at 10:28 a.m. But let me show you if at all you don't know how to add time. Okay, the time that we are referring to is 9:40 a.m. Now I want to add 48 minutes to it. We have 40 minutes here. So the next hour from 9:40 is going to be 10 o'clock, okay? So how many minutes do I need to add so that the time will be 10 o'clock? It is 20 minutes. So adding 20 minutes to 9:40, the time becomes 10 a.m. So if I have already taken out 20 minutes from 48 minutes, how many more minutes am I left with? That will be 28 minutes. So because this 28 minutes is not up to 60, it means I cannot add an hour here. So which means that is all. The time will then be 10:28 a.m. Okay, this is how you add time. To repeat myself, if you add 48 minutes to 9:40, the time becomes 10:28. So that is it. What happened later, these two cars meet at a particular point after which they overtake each other. So this is going to be that point. We have P here and we have Q here. This is the reference point. P passes through it at 9:40, but because Q passes through the reference point 48 seconds later, it means Q will pass through this point at 10:28 a.m. Is that clear? So what is important for us here is the distance from the reference point to where Q overtakes P. All right? I am not interested in the previous events. Okay? I am only interested about this point from here, point X, to where they overtake each other. And if you look at it, you can say that, okay, they travel equal distances from this reference point. And that will be the basis of our calculation. So whenever you want to calculate time taken for one body to overtake another, always understand the concept that the distance traveled from a reference point must be equal. Is that clear? Let the time taken by P from the reference point X to the point where it was overtaken by Q be T. Okay, so the time taken by P from this point to where it is overtaken by Q is T. Then in that case, what can we say about Q? The time taken by Q from the reference point to the point where it overtakes P will be T minus 48 minutes, right? Why? Because it is 48 minutes behind P. The reason why is because Q passes through this point 48 minutes later. I hope that point is clear. Okay, so it means P was 48 minutes ahead of Q all the time, as long as they were moving at constant speeds. So Q is 48 minutes behind P, as it is stated in the question. Moving on, one of the advice that I will give you is, if the speed is in kilometers per hour, your time has to be in hours. Okay? If at all the speed or velocity is in meters per second, then your time has to be in seconds to make the calculation simple for you. So it means I can express this as T minus 48 minutes. If I convert it to hours, will give me 0.8 hours. So this is what I am going to use. So let me show you how that 0.8 hour is obtained. You know that 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. So if you have 48 minutes and you want to convert it to hour, let's say y. When you cross multiply, you'll have y times 60 minutes is equal to 48 minutes times 1 hour. To make y the subject of the formula, divide both sides by 60 minutes. This will cancel this, the minute will cancel the minute. So you'll have y is equal to 48 times 1 hour divided by 60. So 48 divided by 60 is what gives you 0.8 hour. We said that the distance traveled by P must be equal to the distance traveled by Q. So what is the formula for distance when you are dealing with bodies that are having constant speed? Distance is speed times time, right? Speed times time. So it will be speed of P multiplied by the time for P is equal to the speed of Q multiplied by the time traveled by Q. All right. So what is the speed of P? It was 45 kilometers per hour multiplied by the time we said is T. This is equal to the speed of Q is 81 multiplied by the time is what? T minus 0.8. Okay, so that will be 45T is equal to 81 into T minus 0.8. That will be 45T is equal to 81 times T is 81T minus 81 times 0.8 gives 64.8. So to collect like terms, we'll have 45T minus 81T is equal to minus 64.8. 45 minus 81 gives minus 36. So that will be minus 36T is equal to minus 64.8. Negative signs will cancel. So 36T is equal to 64.8. To find T, divide both sides by 36. Okay, so T will be 64.8 divided by 36. So the time for P is 1.8 hours. Okay, so it means P will travel 1.8 hours before it is overtaken by Q. So that 1.8 hours can be converted to minutes by multiplying it by 60, right? So we will have 1.8 times 60, we'll have 108 minutes. So it means after P travels 108 minutes, that is the time it can be overtaken by Q. So this is the answer to the first question, which says, how long will it take car P to travel before it overtakes Q? So car P will travel 1.8 hours or 108 minutes before it can be overtaken by car Q. Is that correct? Yes. So what was the time traveled by Q? The question doesn't ask us to find it, but to calculate it, we can say the time traveled by Q before it overtakes P. We're talking about from the reference point. What was the equation that we established for car Q? That time for Q is equal to T minus 48 minutes. Okay, if at all you want to express it in minutes. So what was T? T was 108 minus 48. Okay, so that will be 60 minutes. Okay, that is exactly 1 hour. So it means after Q travels 1 hour, that is the time it was able to overtake P. So let's move to the final question. It says, what would be the time when Q overtakes P? Okay, so it is asking us the time here. What I can do is simple. I can take this time, then add it to the time that P has traveled, or take this time traveled by Q, add it to the time traveled by Q from this point to this point. We are supposed to get the same answer. So let's do that. Question 2. For car P, from the reference point, it passes the reference point at 9:40 a.m., right? And what was the time traveled by P from the reference point? It was 108 minutes, right? 108 minutes. So let's work with that. Time is 9:40. To make it 10, I just need 20 minutes from the 108, right? That is 20 minutes. Then it will be 10 a.m. All right. Is it possible to remove 60 minutes again after removing 20 minutes from 108? Yes. So if you subtract 60 minutes, then you have an hour. So we can say 11 a.m. Okay. Is it possible to remove 60 minutes again? It's not possible, because if you add these two times, 60 plus 20 is 80, then what would you be remain with? 28, right? From 108. You'll be left with 28 minutes. So which means time here has not come to 12 o'clock. So what would be the time? 11:28. So the time will be 11:28 a.m. Okay? Yeah. So if at all we want to take reference from car Q, for car Q, from the reference point, what was the time? It was 10:28 a.m. Is that correct? Yeah. So what was the time traveled by Q from the reference point? It was 1 hour or 60 minutes, right? 60 minutes. So we're going to add 60 minutes to this time. We have 28 here. How much do I need to add so that it can be 11? That will be 32, right? That will be 32 minutes, so that it can come to 11 o'clock a.m. Okay, so if 32 minutes is removed from 60 minutes, how many more minutes are we left with? That will be 60 minus 32. That will be 28, right? 28 minutes will be left. So because the 28 is less than 60, it means that 12 o'clock has not been reached. So what was going to be the time? 11:28 a.m. All right, so it means the time here will be 11:28 a.m. All right, P has to travel 108 minutes before it is overtaken by Q. So if you add 108 minutes to 9:40, time will be 11:28. For Q, it has to travel 1 hour before it overtakes P. So if you add 1 hour to this time, 10:28, it will be 11:28. So to give the final answer to question 2, the time at which car Q overtakes car P is 11:28 a.m. Do not forget to indicate whether it is a.m. or p.m. That is all for today. Thank you very much for watching the video. If this is the first time of visiting this channel, please subscribe to this channel, like and share the video. You can follow us on our Facebook page as well. See you soon.